Most people talk about Neo like it's the future banking in Canada, but here's the more honest version. Neo is insanely good when everything's going right, and kind of brutal when something goes wrong. So if you're thinking, should I switch? This video is going to save you a lot of time, and perhaps even a lot of money. Because the real question isn't, is Neo good? The real question is, do you want a clean modern app that saves you time and spits out cash back? Or do you want the boring safety net of big banks where you can walk into a branch and raise hell when something breaks? Like everything in life, Neo is a trade-off, and this video is me telling you exactly who wins that trade-off and who doesn't. So what's Neo really trying to do here? They're not just trying to be a credit card. Yes, that was one of their first products, but similar to other players like Wealthsimple, they're trying to be your whole financial ecosystem. Here's a play in plain English. Neo Money is an everyday account and savings designed to really replace your checking account. Their credit card is a few different MasterCards depending on how serious you are about cashback. Neo Investing is a simple set it and forget it solution to investing. And Neo Mortgage exists because they want you to never leave once you're in. This is the same strategy that all the big banks have. The difference, however, is Neo is trying to do it with a much better app and a cashback network instead of a thing that says come and talk to your advisor. So here's how I'm going to grade Neo. It's super simple. First is how much money it saves you in fees, rates, and how much it gets you in cash back. The second would be how annoying it gets when life happens, so how easy it is to talk to support, account issues, fraud, and travel. Third is how much it actually replaces your bank, not really just complements it. And I think finally, who's this really for? Because it definitely is not for everyone. And by the end, I'm going to give you the best Neo setup and the best Neo plus everything else setup, because that's probably the real answer for most people. Alright, let's start with Neo Money because that's really the foundation of this entire platform. If Neo Money doesn't make sense for you, the rest of the ecosystem kind of falls apart. At its core, Neo Money is trying to replace your checking account and your basic savings accounts with something that doesn't feel like it was designed in 2008. There's no monthly fees, so it's a clean app, and there's interest rates that don't insult you. Neo's savings rate goes up to 2.9%, and it's tiered by balance. The translation here is that the more money you park there, the more interest you can earn. Is it the absolute highest rate in Canada? Most certainly not. But it's consistently competitive, and more importantly, it's not some teaser rate that disappears after a couple of months. This is your park your emergency fund and forget about it money, and yes, your money is CDIC insured up to $100,000. That means that if somehow Neo vanished tomorrow, your cash doesn't just evaporate into the void. This matters way more than most people think when they're switching off a big bank into a bank with less reputation or name. Here also lies a sleeper feature people completely overlook. Neo lets you open savings accounts for youth. So if you're a parent trying to teach your kid how money actually works, Neo is way more modern than just tossing them into some crusty student account with a big bank and learn a lot more interest. And the app experience, which I think is a really big deal, is absolutely stellar. It's fast, it's clean, and it's where Neo absolutely dunks on all the other major big banks. The Insights tab on this app is especially good. It shows you where your money is going without making you dig through 14 menus. Compare that to the most traditional banking apps, which feel like they were again designed in 2008 and were never really updated. So Neo Money does a really solid job, and they've even implemented an AI chatbot feature to help you understand your money a bit better. I personally haven't used it, but I'm sure it could come in handy. Let me be very clear here though. A great app does not mean a great bank in every situation. Here's the part that people don't generally put in their reviews. If something goes wrong, like your phone gets stolen, or you get locked out, or something weird gets flagged in your account, you're not walking to a branch and yelling at a manager, you're dealing with in-app support and email. That's the fintech trade-off, and whether that bothers you or not depends entirely on who you are. Funny story, or perhaps not really funny if you were my friend, but one of my buddies recently went on a trip to Europe and had his phone stolen. So the thief was able to access his bank account, in this case Wealthsimple, and steal some of his money. My friend was luckily able to freeze the account before they took too much, but it's now been 3 weeks and he's been back and forth over email with customer support trying to get his account back. And that's kind of the downside of these digital banks. There's no physical branch you can go into and just sort out all of your problems. Again, that's fine 95% of the time, but when it's bad, it can certainly be very, very annoying. So once again, let's be real. Neo Money is perfect for you if you want a clean everyday account, you really hate monthly fees, and you're comfortable living fully on your phone. It's really for those who want a solid place to park their cash and spend day to day. But I would not recommend Neo Money as your only bank if you travel a lot, you lose your phone often, you want instant human support when things break, or you just sleep better knowing there's a physical branch somewhere. My take is really to use it as your spending hub in your savings parking lot, not your entire financial identity. It's certainly a very strong piece of the setup, but I don't think it's really worth it making the only pillar holding your financial life together. Next up, let's talk about Neo's credit cards. because this is where things start to look really good, and also where the fine print really matters. The credit card is where Neo made their name, and it's the reason most people even download the app in the first place. On paper, Neo's cards look absolutely cracked. They have high cash back, no fees on some tiers, and a massive partner network. But this is also where you really need to slow down and read the fine print, because Neo cards reward specific behavior, and if you don't fit that behavior, the value drops quite fast. Neo has 3 main personal credit cards, and I'm going to explain them to you in the only way that really matters. The Neo MasterCard is the entry-level, no annual fee, no income required card. The World MasterCard has no fee but higher earn rates if you qualify, and the World Elite MasterCard has an annual fee but it has the highest earn rates and has stricter income requirements. They all use the same app, they fall into the same rewards ecosystem, but they have very, very different use cases. Starting off with the base Neo MasterCard, it earns 1% back on gas and groceries and 0.5% back everywhere else, plus of course higher cash back at Neo's partner merchants. It's definitely not a min-max card, it's definitely more of a starter card, and if you're building your credit, coming off a secured card, or just want something simple with no annual fee, this is really solid. But don't pretend that this competes with serious cashback cards, it doesn't, and that's completely fine. It's certainly a good first card, but it should not be your endgame. The Neo World MasterCard is honestly the sleeper in the lineup. It has no annual fee as well, but you get 2% back on groceries, gas, EV charging and recurring bills, and 0.5% back everywhere else. If your life is pretty normal, rent, groceries, phone bill, gas, this card quietly prints a lot of value. And I think it's the card most people should really be looking at if they want serious Neo cashback without paying an annual fee. But, and this matters, those higher earn rates are subject to monthly category limits. So if you're a high spender, you're likely going to hit them, and we'll dive into what happens if you do that in just a second. Now onto the flashy one, the Neo World Elite MasterCard. This card earns 5% back on groceries, 4% on recurring bills, 3% on gas and EV charging, and 1% everywhere else. This sounds unreal, right? Yep, until you realize 2 things. 1, there's a $125 annual fee, that's pretty standard, but 2, the best earn rates are capped monthly. If you're a single professional or a couple with controlled spend, this card can absolutely cook, but if you're a family blowing past that monthly grocery cap every single month, the headline rate stops mattering really, really quick. What I'm talking about here is that each of these high earning categories have a monthly limit, like they do at other banks. So if you're the type to put everything on one card and never think about it again, you're probably leaving money on the table here. Neo rewards intentional spend, not chaos, meaning you can't spend $2,000 on groceries on the Neo World Elite MasterCard and expect to earn $140 in cash back. You'll actually stop earning that cash back once you earn $70. The normal Neo MasterCard caps grocery and gas at $500 per month and $1,667 on everything else. The Neo World and World Elite MasterCards cap gas and groceries at $1,000 each, recurring bills at $500, but hold no cap on everything else. Now these limits again are pretty reasonable for living solo, but for families, this is probably not your best option. If you're considering applying for one of these cards, I'd recommend pulling up a really quick spreadsheet and calculating your monthly spend to see if you'd hit the limit for any of these categories before making that decision. And if you do decide that it's definitely worth it, again, feel free to use the links we have in our description to apply, as it certainly helps the channel out quite a lot. Neo pushes partner cashback really hard. Sometimes you'll see 5 or 10% and even higher at specific merchants. Here's the truth though, it's similar to a coupon, where if you already shop at these places, this feels like real money. But if you don't, I think you'll forget this feature exists, and I definitely don't think it's worth it to change your life to chase partner cashback. Let it reward the habits you already have. On the perk side, the World and World Elite MasterCards come with the standard MasterCard protections, zero liability, purchase protection, and extended warranty. The highest tiers also include a Dragon Pass subscription, although you do need to pay $32 for every single visit to a lounge. Nice to have, not the reason to get the card. Cashback is really the true value driver here. So as we did with the Neo Everyday account, let's talk about who this card is actually for. They're perfect if you spend heavily on groceries, bills, and gas. You want a simple cashback option, not points gymnastics, and you're cool with tracking your spending once you hit these caps. They're certainly not ideal if you want premium travel perks, as for example, no lounge access included as you do need to pay per visit. You spend wildly across a bunch of random categories, or you hate really thinking about limits and categories altogether. I think the best use setups, or the way to use Neo credit really smartly, is to use the card for cashback categories that actually dominates. And then when you pair it with another card for travel or uncapped spend, I think that's where you can get value on both sides of the coin. As much as Neo wants to be, it's not a one card wallet just yet. It's a really strong piece of an otherwise very, very smart setup. Next, let's talk about perks, because this is where Neo starts experimenting. and where I think things get perhaps a bit more hit or miss. Neo Perks was Neo's attempt at a modular system where you can bolt on extra benefits, things like extra cashback boosts, travel-related add-ons, and credit monitoring type stuff. The idea was flexibility, but in reality, Neo's really been actively changing and phasing parts of this out. I'm definitely not judging Neo based on perks, because clearly they aren't either, and honestly that tells you something really important about Neo as a company. They experiment fast, they ship fast, and they're totally willing to kill features that don't actually work, which is great if you like innovation. Unfortunately, it's really annoying if you want absolute stability, but again, it's one of those trade-offs. Let's walk through one example of the only one left on the app. The travel perk costs $7.99 per month, and it includes 2% back on foreign purchases, an additional 2% back on travel partners. It used to be 4%, now it's 6%, a membership with Priority Pass, and again you have that membership pricing where you pay $32 per visit, Smart Delay, which is free lounge access if your flight is delayed by more than an hour, which is pretty cool. Haven't admittedly used it yet, but in theory is a very interesting thing, and a comprehensive travel insurance suite courtesy of Chubb. Honestly, I'm not sure why they got rid of them. I thought they were really cool, but maybe there aren't enough others that really shared that feeling. I guess thinking out loud, people who really value a lot of the travel benefits are just getting a proper travel card anyways, and just using those perks instead. Let's talk about Neo investing next. This is where Neo really tries to keep you in the ecosystem long term, and whether that actually makes sense depends on how hands-on you are. Again, I want to be very clear off the bat here. This is not why you choose Neo. This is why Neo hopes you don't leave. Neo investing is just a robo-advisor. You answer a few questions based on your risk level, and Neo invests your money automatically using diversified ETF portfolios. There's no stock picking, there's no options, it's really simple by design, and it's for people who would otherwise do nothing. If your money is just sitting in cash because investing feels overwhelming, this is objectively better than that. You get automation, you get discipline, and you don't actually need to think about it. That alone is valuable for a lot of people, but if you already invest, you can skip this without much hesitation. Just as an example, if you buy your own ETFs, you care about fees and control, or you want flexibility, Neo investing adds absolutely nothing to the table for you, and that's the key point. It's certainly not about beating the market, it's about ecosystem lock-in. If your spending, savings, credit card investments all live in one app, switching out would get really annoying, and that's the strategy. My take here is that Neo investing is fine, it works, it does exactly what it says, but it's again probably not the right thing for myself. If you're choosing Neo for investing, you're definitely doing it backwards. It should be for spending, cash back, and day-to-day money flow, and if you care about investing itself, I'd pair it with a platform that actually specializes in that. Which brings us to the comparison everyone's been waiting for, Neo or Wealthsimple. Let's get this straight because people love to argue in the comments. Neo and Wealthsimple are not trying to win the exact same fight. Yes, of course there is a bit of overlap, but they're playing totally different games. So instead of asking which is better, the real question is which one should handle your money and which one should handle your spending. Here's the simplest way to put it. Wealthsimple is built to grow your money, while Neo is built to spend your money more effectively. Once you see it that way, the rest becomes really obvious. Wealthsimple wins super hard on investing. It has better tools, it has more flexibility, it has lower friction, and whether you're buying ETFs, stocks, or just automating long-term investing, Wealthsimple is way more mature. If your main goal is building wealth over time, this one is not really even close. On the other side though, Neo wins on day-to-day spending for sure. Cashback is front and center, and the app is built around transactions and not portfolios. And in my experience, I think the credit card experience itself actually feels much more integrated instead of bolted on like it does with Wealthsimple. Yes, the Wealthsimple card is clean and simple and I carry it every single day, but it's not a cashback optimizer. Neo is. There's also a trust and support difference we need to acknowledge here. Wealthsimple feels much more conservative, while Neo is much more aggressive. They experiment a lot more, they ship fast, and they kill features really quick. Wealthsimple, relative to the regular banks, still moves incredibly fast, but relative to other fintechs, they move a bit slower, and they break things less often, which for an investing account, may be what you really want. Again, neither is wrong, but your personality really matters here. On credit cards specifically, here's the honest take. The Wealthsimple Visa Infinite is really boring, but it's really reliable. It has that flash 2% cashback, no foreign exchange fees, and no thinking at all. Neo's cards are much more powerful though if you optimize, but of course they demand attention. You have to really manage these spending caps, see these categories, and see what the partner offers are. It's simple for Wealthsimple versus strategic, and this is where I land. For most people, the best move is not Neo or Wealthsimple, it's Neo and Wealthsimple. Use Neo for your spending, your cash back, and your everyday monthly flow, while you use Wealthsimple for investing, long-term wealth, and a set it and forget it strategy with your money. Again, if you want one app with minimal thinking, you hate managing multiple platforms, I would pick Wealthsimple here. But if you care more about cash back and your daily spending efficiency, and you're fine with some of these fintech trade-offs, I think Neo makes a little bit more sense. Just don't force one to do the other one's job. Alright, the final stop is Neo Mortgage, because this is not something most people are actually using yet, and that's fine. Neo Mortgage is less about being the best mortgage in Canada today, and it's more about what Neo is trying to become. At its core, it's a fully digital mortgage application. You apply online, you just upload all of your documents, and you get rate options without sitting in a bank pretending to enjoy bad coffee. Yes, it's very convenient, but it's certainly not revolutionary. Here's the real comparison. Neo Mortgage is competing with some of the largest banks, who are slow but really familiar with the entire process, and mortgage brokers who often get you better rates if you shop around a little bit more. If you're choosing a mortgage based purely on the best rate, you should definitely shop around with a broker, as Neo does not magically beat the market. So why does Neo offer mortgages at all? It's because they're truly the ultimate lock-in product. Once your mortgage, spending, savings, and credit cards live in one ecosystem, switching becomes a huge pain. Neo wants to be your financial home base, again, not just your cashback app. And even though the mortgage isn't absolutely stellar and would get you the best rate possible 100% of the time, it could make a little bit of sense if you already use Neo quite heavily. You again value that really clean digital experience that you certainly wouldn't get with a broker, and you want a simple application without some of those bank theatrics. That being said, I would not choose Neo Mortgage blindly without comparing your offers elsewhere, because Neo Mortgage is fine, but it's not the star of the show. I would say it's more of a signal of ambition rather than the main selling point of the entire platform. So here's the verdict. Neo is not the future of banking for everyone, but it's one of the best modern day money tools in Canada if you use it the right way. Used correctly, it saves you a ton of money, but using it blindly could be really frustrating. And it makes the most sense for you if you care about cashback and everyday spending efficiency, you hate your monthly bank fees, and are comfortable living completely on your phone and don't need to walk into a branch to solve your problems. If that sounds like you, Neo is a really strong add to your lineup, but you should definitely think twice about Neo if you travel constantly and need fast human support. You really value these premium travel perks baked into one card. You lose your phone often, which is for more people than you might think, or you absolutely value stability over innovation. Neo's trade is more polished for less flexibility, and not everyone wants that trade. Here's a setup I'd really actually recommend for most people. Use the Neo Money account as your spending hub and your short-term savings, the Neo credit card for the cashback categories it really dominates, but make sure to pair it with a separate platform for investing in your long-term wealth, whether it be Wealthsimple, Questrade, Qtrade. There's a bunch of options out there, because I don't think Neo needs to be your whole financial life for it to be incredibly useful. I think of Neo as more your high-performance daily driver, not your luxury all-in-one vehicle. If you treat it like that, it's absolutely excellent, but if you expect to do everything perfectly, you'll be really disappointed. If you did find this video quite helpful, we'd really appreciate if you hit subscribe. We're breaking out Canadian finance without a lot of the fluff, and there's a lot more coming. And I'm curious, are you team cashback or your team points? And if you're already using Neo, what's been your experience so far? Drop it in the comments down below. I read them all. Until next time, take care.